Hey, if you are working out hard, your form is good, you're lifting appropriate weights, but you're not seeing results in the gym in your 40s and 50s and beyond, then we have the answer for you today. We're going to look at 6 reasons that you are not gaining muscle if you're doing what we started with, which is good form, you're training with appropriate weights, and you're training hard, you're consistent, but you're not seeing gains. So let's get right into it. So what are the possible reasons for not seeing the gains? Number 1, you are doing too many isolation exercises. So exercises for smaller muscle groups, biceps, triceps even, shoulders, those tend to be more isolation moves. We want to do large multi-joint exercises and work the large muscle groups. So we're talking about chest, back, we're talking about legs, so that's hamstrings and quads, and we're talking about focusing on squats or maybe some variation of squats. We're focusing on things like bench press, incline press, and even there's the shoulder press you can do in a Smith machine, which is, I guess, obviously that's a shoulder move, but it's a big compound move. So, the thing is, engaging those big muscle groups, they will drive systemic growth for the whole body. So, that's vitally important. Okay, number 2, you are not consuming enough protein. So no matter how hard you're training in the gym, if there isn't enough protein in your body to build muscle, nothing's going to happen. Your body's just going to stay in maintenance mode, really, because without protein, your body cannot build muscle. And so, the rule of thumb would be 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body weight that you have. And when we talk about protein, because people ask me, what about protein shakes? Well, remember, it's a supplement, okay? So first and foremost, we should be looking at real food sources: whole eggs, egg whites, chicken breast, lean beef, fish. And once we have all of those, then the protein shake can be really helpful to help us kind of fill in so that we're getting enough protein. Typically in my day, I have 2.5 scoops of protein powder spread throughout the day in amongst all my other meals. So the thing to keep in mind is if you're going to make sure you get enough protein, the protein powder and shakes are a supplement. We don't want them to kind of be the main food source when it comes to protein. Okay, number 3, which goes with that, which is you're not consuming enough calories. Because you might say, well, I'm consuming enough protein, but you still need to be in a calorie surplus in order for your body to add muscle. Rule of thumb, you want to look at being probably 300 calories over your maintenance calorie intake. Now, a good rule of thumb also is to use some kind of tracking software so you know what calories you're taking in. I typically use MyFitnessPal. And because I have a coach, I don't have to do so much with the whole breaking down all the calorie intake, because I know what I'm consuming every day ahead of time. But that's another option, is you might want to consider a coach, because a coach is going to be able to help you with your nutrition plan and things like that. But in general, okay, if you are not consuming enough calories, so let's put the 2 together. If you're not consuming enough protein, number 1, and enough calories so that you're in a calorie surplus, your body is not going to add muscle. It's just going to stay in maintenance mode, which obviously we don't want to do if we're trying to add muscle. Okay, number 4, poor recovery habits. So here's the thing. We don't add muscle when we're working out at the gym. We traumatize the muscle and put our bodies under strain. But one of the things I always say is I'm going to go home and grow, because I'm not growing at the gym. I'm growing in my recovery, which is proper nutrition, which is proper rest, which is making sure I've properly recovered the muscle before I go and train it again. So, rule of thumb, you should be looking to sleep somewhere between 7 to 9 hours a night for optimal muscle recovery, just for optimal health. and so that you can, your body can recover appropriately and you can see how it feels. Now, here's the other thing. When it comes to knowing that your muscles have recovered, as we age, we're going to take potentially a little bit more time to recover, our muscles to recover. So, we need to be tracking progress. That's an easy way to be able to tell, okay, I need to probably take a little bit more time off before I come back to a certain body part that I've already trained. And by tracking all of your lifts and everything in some way, shape, or form, or being aware of what you're doing at the gym, you'll have some way to gauge, okay, I'm making progress, gee, I'm not making progress, do I need to rest a little bit more, do I need to make other adjustments? But make sure that you're fully recovered, the muscle that you're going to go work, that you're fully recovered from your previous workout. Okay. Number 5, your workout is not progressive. What does that mean? It means that we're doing the same thing week in, week out, the same weights, the same rep ranges, the same everything. And what happens is your body just goes into maintenance mode. So it's no longer being forced to adapt. And that's what we want to do when we go to the gym, is force our bodies to adapt. And how can we do that? Progressive means we can add weight. Now, when we talk about adding weight, remember we add weight when it's appropriate to add weight, not just for the sake of ego lifting where we say, well, look at how much I can lift, but we add weight. We can add reps to our program of what we're doing. We can slow down the tempo. Here's the other thing. I tell one of my friends who sometimes I get some time to train with him or we train together, but I tell him every time, remember, this is weight lifting. It's not weight throwing. So be aware of your tempo. Adjusting tempo is one way that you can, you can keep your body off balance as well. And, there's other things like drop sets and more advanced techniques. Drop sets are where you keep lowering the weight every time you fail. So until you get to almost nothing. Like I do it sometimes with arm curls, and I'll start with the heavy, and then I'll strip off some of the weights, and then I'll do it until I can't, strip off some of the weights, do it until I can't do anymore. And usually at the end, I'm just down to the bar. So now those are more advanced techniques as well. So, you need to gauge that with where you're at in your training program. If you're just starting out, you probably don't need to do the advanced you don't need to do some of these advanced techniques, but you can incorporate them as necessary. So, all right. And number 6 is you are not hydrating properly. So our muscles are 75% water, right? So we should be consuming somewhere between, at a minimum, 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. Now, you should be consuming more water if you're sweating. You should be consuming more water if you're taking in creatine. So, my rule of thumb is I have a water bottle I take with me to the gym, and I basically take a sip between every set. So, and then, at every meal I have probably about 16 ounces, somewhere between 8 and 12 ounces, maybe sometimes 16 ounces of water at each meal, so that I can try and make sure I want to be somewhere around 12 glasses. But you can figure out what works best for your body. One thing, if you're going to increase your water intake, can I encourage you to do it a little bit at a time? Because I did it one time where I just went straight from, I was 4 to 6 glasses and right to like 12. And you know what happened? I ended up spending an inordinate amount of time in the bathroom. So just be aware of that. You can add to it little by little. So here's the thing, is there's no reason for us not to be adding muscle in our 40s, in our 50s, in our 60s. We've talked about this on the channel a lot, and that's what we're all about as a channel. And I'll use myself as an example. I'm 55 years old. I'm a competitive, natural professional bodybuilder, and I'm, all the science shows us that we can add muscle in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and even into our 70s. And the point is, for me, is I want to be able to live a good life. I want to be able to, have time with my daughter as she grows up, and with my grandchildren one day. So I'm doing these things so that I can have a quality of life that is good for me and good for my family. So you know what? Those are 6 real simple things that you can look at and say, hey, I can adjust some of these. I can maybe make some corrections here or anything like that. If you have anything to add to that, throw it in the comments, because I'd love to hear, and the community loves to see what your thoughts are on this as well. So thank you for joining me today. You know what? Give just take a minute and if you think this was of value to you, just take a minute and like the video. That really helps me out. And subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the content. Thank you all. See ya.